Thank you for joining us this morning for the State of the City Address. We have a long-standing tradition of co-hosting this event with the Chamber of the Santa Barbara region, and I'm happy to see local business leaders and our many community partners represented in this room. We've accomplished so much in the past several years by leveraging the vision, skills, and resources of our organizations. And with strong partnerships in place, we truly share all of our community successes, and it's time to celebrate them. And in that spirit of partnership and collaboration, I want to thank the Chamber, Women's Economic Ventures, Small Business Development Center, and other organizations assisting entrepreneurs right away for our continued work on improving the connection between City Hall and local businesses. Over the past few years, we've created instructional videos and resources to help you start and grow your business in Santa Barbara. We've listened to your frequently asked questions and areas of concern and organized business regulations and services on our website so you can more easily navigate the city to meet your business needs. Just last week, we met with CEOs of some of the city's fastest growing companies and learned about their experiences. This is really an exciting time to be doing business in Santa Barbara, and to support economic growth and vitality, the city's strategy has largely focused on providing the environment needed to help businesses flourish. To that end, we need to talk with each other on a frequent basis to share ideas and remove some bureaucratic red tape that inhibits economic development. I know the council joins me in welcoming input from you on how we can enhance the local business environment. Each of us take our decision-making role very seriously, as we love and value this place we call home, and it's an honor to serve with them. With us this morning also is our executive management team, and I'd like to introduce each member as we've made several recent appointments. City Administrator Paul Casey, City Attorney Ariel Kalan, Fire Chief Pat McElroy, Finance Director Bob Samario, Waterfront Director Scott Riedman, Public Works Director Rebecca Bjork, Community Development Director George Buell, Airport Director Hazel Johns, Administrative Services Director Christy Schmidt, and our newest department heads, Assistant City Administrator Pamela Antle, and Parks and Recreation Director Jill Zachary, Library Director Jessica Cadiente, and Interim Police Chief John Krombach. Thank you all for being here today. The city has projects in virtually every corner, and this morning we're celebrating how far we've come to reach some major milestones. Many of these activities have been accomplished through vigorous public debate and passionate discussions, and doing so with respect and civility. The city recently conducted its first district election in November, with districts on the east side, the west side, and the Mesa. And in 2017, the remaining 3 districts will elect council members. This is just one of the major shifts our community has seen over the past year. Another transition has been living with less water. Dry conditions have posed not only a challenge for homeowners and businesses, but also fire crews who are on high alert for possible wildfires. Firefighters moved very quickly in putting out the Gibraltar fire last fall. Thanks to quick interagency coordination and a very aggressive approach, their incredible work avoided a major disaster as they extinguished the direct threat within a few hours with air tankers and helicopters, preventing the fire from reaching neighborhoods. Yes, thank you. With the confident weather forecast last summer of Godzilla, a record-breaking El Nino last fall, we are all looking forward to ending 5 consecutive years of drought. Unfortunately, our winter to date has given us only about 50 to 60% of the rainfall of a normal water year. And although this level of rainfall is not enough to emerge from our drought condition, and while it's fun to experience summer temperatures in the winter, we're left with a drying effect that exacerbates the drought. From the start of this drought, Council has consistently looked ahead, and I'm especially proud of how aggressively we purchased water to secure the community's water supply until 2017. And because we are part of the state water system, we have the capability to purchase and deliver water from basins outside the South Coast. The City Council has kept water planning a top priority. In our first video this morning, you'll learn how reactivating the desalination plant will give us a cutting-edge technology to solve an urgent community need.
Now into our 5th year of drought, The city has been working tirelessly to promote conservation among all its water customers, and has maximized the use of recycled water to irrigate parks, schools, and golf courses. But in spite of a tremendous conservation response by the public, future supply still falls short of demand. In response, the City Council has taken steps to supplement our water supply by restarting the desalination facility.
Desal has been a part of the city's water supply starting in 1994, has been actually part of our long-term water supply plan. And its initial role was to be a drought supply. Now we've made this decision to reactivate our facility and moving forward. We're going to need to revisit what the role of desal is going to be. Is it going to be part of the long-term supply, or is it going to remain just a drought supply for us? But it does play a critical role in helping us to meet those demands during prolonged drought periods.
Due to these prolonged periods of drought, more communities across the United States are taking a closer look at desalination as a potential water supply.
Desal is actually fairly common worldwide, but in the United States it's been kind of slow to start. We've been fortunate to receive the rainfall that we need to kind of allow us to continue to utilize our surface waters. But as we've been seeing, that puts a lot of impact on our environmental resources. And I think the discussion is coming about as to what other supplies can we start to tap in.
When we went out for our RFP to see what the interest was in the project, we did get some good interest in it. A lot of the players were actually from overseas. The company that we have right now is from Israel. Another company that we had talked to was from Spain. You know, places where they're actually doing a lot more of this type of technology. So, you know, I think that bringing it to California is something that's going to happen, you know, and we're kind of in the forefront of it.
Thanks to infrastructure left over from the original 1992 plant, the reactivation is much farther along, and the construction costs are less than they would have been without it.
You know, it was really essential to have the facility that we had. It's put us so much further ahead. We did get the permits to operate our desalination plant back in 1996. We got the permanent permits. And we have, you know, the major infrastructure going out into the ocean. The intake areas is all developed where that's going to go. The property to put this on, a lot of the major electrical infrastructure has kind of already been established. The infrastructure that allows us to discharge the brine water is kind of already in play. So much of that has allowed us to reactivate this facility for $55 million. Without that, we'd be looking at probably over $100 million.
With the disappointingly dry El Nino and Lake Cachuma at a mere 14% of capacity, the desal plant reactivation will be critical in helping the city meet its water needs.
The facility is permitted for up to 10,000 acre-feet a year, and right now during this drought time, we're actually getting pretty close. So we're using about 11,000 acre-feet a year right now. But that's not how we see the role of desal for us in the short term. Right now, we're bringing the facility online at just over 3,000 acre-feet, which is going to be approximately 30% of our water supply. And so we hope that that's sufficient to get us through this drought cycle. We feel that's an adequate size for now, but you know, that the potential for desal to help out regionally with our water supply needs is really important.
The work involved in restarting the plant includes updating all the membrane and computer technology, installing new pumps, as well as a new pump station. And since the first plant was constructed in 1992, operating the plant will require far less energy and be more efficient. The desalination project is currently on schedule and on budget and will be delivering water by October of this year.
The desal plant and our incredible achievements in water conservation have brought Santa Barbara into the spotlight with national and global media attention. Between the business community and residential uses, our water consumption is 34% lower than a few years ago. Many business leaders in this room are implementing major water conservation projects in your facilities, and I applaud your efforts. From replacing our lawns with drought-tolerant plants to irrigating less, providing less water to patrons on request, to taking shorter showers. Everyone is doing their part, and it's all making a huge difference and positioning us well for a limited water supply in the future. One of the challenges of retaining water when it does rain is the ability to reduce stormwater runoff that dumps into our creeks and oceans instead of recharging the underground water basins. Santa Barbara has received more accolades from the California Stormwater Quality Association for our new permeable pavers that replaced asphalt at various parks and sidewalks around town. Paid mostly with state grant funding, these permeable pavers capture and treat polluted stormwater, allowing it to soak slowly into the ground. In the last rainstorms, the pavers stood up to the test, letting the water drain and filter through the pavers. Up next, we're replacing a full street surface on Quarantina Street near Santa Barbara Junior High, an area known for frequent flooding and tree root damage. Sunset Magazine recently named Santa Barbara the most sustainable community in the West, a very high distinction when looking at our peer cities. Businesses are making daily decisions to protect the environment. We now have 220 business and schools composting leftover food waste, reducing what we send to the landfill. Our city organization has been very strategic to upgrade to more energy-efficient building systems as they were ready for replacement. By installing the largest solar array in the city at our corporate yard and our cogeneration plant at our wastewater treatment plant that converts methane to electricity, our organization now gets 37% of its energy from renewable sources. These projects have had a cumulative cost-saving effect, reducing the city's electrical bill by $541,000 each year on an ongoing basis. A third of the city's vehicles are now either fuel efficient or run on alternative fuels. And within the last year, these efforts have reduced our greenhouse gas emissions in city facilities and fleet by 15%. These achievements led to receiving 3 Beacon Spotlight Awards from the League of California Cities for citywide best sustainability practices that save money and conserve resources. I also joined a coalition of cities throughout the country by signing the U.S. Compact of Mayors that will provide transparency in showing progress towards meeting community emission targets. Another area where we've garnered national recognition is our public arts program. A few months ago, I was pleased to accept an award for leadership in public arts from the Americans for the Arts and the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Santa Barbara became the first California city to receive this honor after steadily building its cultural arts economy with growing civic engagement and participation. Santa Barbara's vibrant art scene is the result of many years of ingenuity, planning, strategic investments, and groundbreaking community leaders and artists who just get things done. We can start with the successful renovation of aging performing arts facilities in the historic Cultural Art District downtown. The city contributed over $8 million in funding and played a leadership role with local philanthropists to renovate many of our performing arts venues, such as the 80-year-old Victoria Hall into the new Vic 300-seat theater, the landmark 92-year-old Granada Theater, as well as the Lobero Theater, all for arts patrons to experience world-class performing arts centers with modern acoustics, lighting, and period fixtures. These venues are now introducing joint ticket pricing to make it easy for you to experience shows in all 3 locations. Year by year, the city has invested heavily in historic cultural arts organizations, emerging artists, and public art projects to appeal to a variety of demographics. Public art is more than just recreation and enrichment. It is a critical component of our economic vitality. It's estimated that arts-related spending from ticket sales, services, supplies, and employee salaries provides approximately $41 million annually to the local economy. You may think of painters and sculptors, but the arts industry also encompasses graphic designers, photographers, authors, film professionals, chefs, musicians, and local craftspeople. The economic impact of the arts industry as a whole is estimated to provide $124 million to the Santa Barbara region, including 3,500 full-time equivalent jobs. And in this next video, you'll learn more about our strategic investments in the arts.
Public art helps define our community. Whether hidden within a paseo or shouting its presence from 21 feet high, it influences our everyday life.
It's like a mirror, or kind of echoes the concerns and issues of the time with the unique imprint of the artist and the unique vision.
You're able to interact a lot of times with public art, and I think that's incredibly important in our society. You don't have to go to the museum. It's right out there in front of you.
The city places a high value on the arts and contributes annually to community arts festivals like Old Spanish Days, Summer Solstice, and the Santa Barbara International Film Festival.
For a city our size, we rank very well in terms of the number of venues, the number of participants we have, and the involvement with the cultural community. It's a good way to combat the arts are just a frill. The arts are just a nice little add-on to really show it's a great business model for communities to embrace the arts and support local arts and culture.
And it's not just big community festivals that are being funded. The city contributes to many new emerging arts organizations as well, organizations like Open Streets and Fishbone. Art also has a financial impact on our community. A recently completed study by Americans for the Arts surveyed the economic impact of arts and cultural organizations. Santa Barbara was among the cities surveyed. The study has successfully demonstrated the positive impact on a community's revenue.
So you can start to see then that arts and culture is this product, and when we invest in that product, we're not only improving our quality of life for the people who live here, but we're drawing folks to the community, and those people are spending money. So, vibrant arts community is good for local businesses.
One event that invites both residents and tourists to take part in our thriving arts community is First Thursday.
First Thursday is a great example of something where you add a social element and that just animates the downtown.
Well, this is a wonderful event because it gets a lot of people out to see what's showing at the galleries and the museums. And the energy downtown is absolutely fantastic. And then we get to go to the openings of major shows, and there's a lot of good art being shown in this town, and there's a lot of wonderful openings. And there's a lot of artists on the tour, but there's also a lot of people that come down just to enjoy the venues and the excitement of the time, and it's a wonderful idea. And I think it's working very well.
Another way the city has invested in public art is by leasing a property to the Arts Collaborative to develop a community arts workshop. The workshop will provide a year-round space for arts organizations that can be used for art creation, set design, exhibits, rehearsals, classes, and community meetings.
The impact of this for our arts community is huge. It's a place where people who haven't had a place to go to realize their dream or their aspiration or perform or their play, this is a place where it can start. And I think that hasn't been available to the arts community in Santa Barbara. It's a very important facility.
Santa Barbara may be renowned for its natural beauty, but it's our embrace and celebration of the arts that gives us our unique identity. Here, art is not confined to galleries or museums. It exists out in the open for everyone to enjoy, in harmony with the natural beauty that surrounds it.
When I walk into a city, whether it's in Santa Barbara or New York or Aspen or Phoenix, and I look at the public art that's in the community, it's a sign to me that that community is one that prizes their residents. It prizes creative expression, and it prizes and celebrates a thriving way of life.
The spirit of innovation in the arts have really been picking up the pace. Newest on scene is SB CAST, the Santa Barbara Center for Art, Science, and Technology. Inspired and privately developed by Alan Macy, I encourage you to check out this new solar-powered facility that provides much-needed affordable live workspace for artists. Between SB CAST, the Community Arts Workshop, and the Funk Zone, local artists now have more venues to dream, create, and share their ideas and passion. I also want to recognize Matt Rodriguez as we look at the city through his eyes this morning, as you can see in the poster here. And along with other local artists, his work is part of a collection of Santa Barbara-themed postcard murals that are up for sale with the proceeds to benefit Youth Interactive. One of these murals just might be the perfect addition for your office lobby while providing funding for a great cause. And also in the back of the room, in the corner, the light projection on the wall created by UCSB graduates Ty Roderick and Udo Diana, who specialize in math art. The last project to highlight in our art-based mentoring program for youth in at-risk situations, to paint murals in the city's neighborhood community centers that were once frequently vandalized. Murals painted by neighborhood youth have become a source of pride in locations that were once vandalized on a weekly basis, saving the city's hundreds of dollars that would have been needed to clean up graffiti. This is one of several innovative programs that are helping youth in at-risk situations. Homework help at the library, storytellers visiting Head Start preschools each month, our popular after-school programs at elementary schools that serve a few thousand children with sports leagues and arts and crafts, the free health and family fun fair that brings together over 50 nonprofit organizations to provide health screenings and demonstrations, and the Food for Kids program. Together with the Unified School District, Community Action Commission, United Boys and Girls Club, and Share Our Strength, we offer free nutritious lunches to low-income kids during the summer when school is out at our city neighborhood centers. Thanks to 3 years of increased efforts by community partners, the participation in summer meal programs increased 49% last year. These efforts shed light on a much larger issue for our region. Agriculture is the top economic driver for our county, contributing $2.8 billion to the regional economy. Yet, out of California's 58 counties, Santa Barbara ranks in the top 12 for agricultural sales and the bottom 14 in meeting the daily food needs of its residents. In fact, 50% of area low-income households are considered food insecure. This paradox led community leaders to start drafting a food action plan set to be released in late spring. Factor in that 40% of food produced in the U.S. is never eaten, the large regional network of farmers, and the daily efforts of organizations like the Food Bank and Organic Soup Kitchen who are committed to addressing hunger for the most vulnerable, and you start seeing some real opportunities for us to reduce food waste and improve food safety. The city has participated in this effort, and the council will be reviewing a draft plan of actions to support a sustainable local food system. Regional collaboration on gang prevention is another model program that's been unique in the state, securing millions of dollars in state grant funds. Now reorganized as the South Coast Task Force on Youth Safety, the Community Action Commission and our community partners meet quarterly to plan programs that provide life skills education, paid job experience, and case management to youth in at-risk situations. And these efforts are paying off because our police department has watched gang crimes decline significantly over the past 5 years. Beyond gang activity, you can see a favorable trend in the city's overall crime rate, with property and violent crimes reported to the FBI that are reaching lows that we haven't seen since the 1980s. I want to thank Interim Chief John Krombach, who's leading our police department during a transitional period while a nationwide recruitment is underway for a new police chief. He has started meeting with community leaders to get their feedback on how we can improve law enforcement efforts in neighborhood communication. And we've received a lot of input from the community on the qualities they would like to see in a new police chief and are conducting a thorough search for the best candidate. Further into the department, we have had a rise in police officer vacancies, and it's a priority of this council to fill these positions as quickly as possible, and over the last year, marketing efforts were expanded to encourage more applications. In the downtown area, many businesses have requested assistance with nuisance activity and loitering issues to make sure patients feel safe in local shops and restaurants. Council introduced new public safety program last year by adding community service officers to patrol State Street. These new positions complement the work of tactical patrol officers at a significantly lower cost than adding police officers to the streets. And thanks to our innovative C3H partnership with government agencies and social service providers, we've taken significant strides to help prevent homelessness. This included updating aggressive panhandling laws last year to prohibit loitering near outdoor dining areas and using street furniture to sell goods. At the request of business owners, we've moved a few sidewalk benches that were creating pinch point areas. And I'm especially proud of the results of our restorative policing program that helps chronically homeless individuals take firm steps towards self-sufficiency. In the last 4 years, the restorative policing team assisted 404 clients who were responsible for thousands of calls to the police department. And of that group, 134 clients completed the restorative court program to transition out of homelessness and avoid serving jail time. And this year, the council is reviewing its laws related to RV parking. The City Council has been very active in responding to other pressing neighborhood issues as well. After hearing from many residents about vacation rentals changing the character of their neighborhood, as well as concerns about losing rental properties to residents when we already have an astonishing low vacancy rate of less than 1%, the council unanimously voted to maintain current zoning laws and not allow hotel uses in most residential areas. Another neighborhood concern has been noise. After receiving complaints from neighborhoods about late-night party behavior adjacent to Santa Barbara City College, we participated in a task force with Santa Barbara City College and neighborhood leaders to revise the noise ordinance. Noise disturbances such as amplified sound, loud televisions, and parties in the late evening hours will now face stiff fines that quickly add up if the noise is not abated. As a complementary measure to this new enforcement, we also plan to implement a Student Neighborhood Assistance Program Hotline, or SNAP, similar to the very successful approach taken in the city of San Luis Obispo and their interactions with neighboring Cal Poly University, where students are hired as part-time civilian police employees to respond to noise violations immediately and address the nuisance more efficiently than redirecting police officers from other safety priorities in the city. Many of you may be noticing newer amenities in some neighborhoods to improve pedestrian safety. Throughout the city, we steadily filled in sidewalks with an emphasis on providing safe routes to school. On the east side, thanks to an $8 million state grant, we're ready to start construction on Lower Milpas Street sidewalks and pedestrian bridges, including the Montecito Yananali Bridge and Cacique and Soledad Bridge, enhancing pedestrian and cycling safety near the Franklin and Cleveland elementary schools. Streetlights have been added to many blocks on the east side and west side to provide brighter pathways in the evenings, and access ramps have been installed to help people of all abilities and parents with strollers to cross the street without harm. Coupled with bricks and mortar improvements is the police department's priority to conduct crosswalk enforcement operations periodically and remind drivers to be more attentive and look for pedestrians. Another component of neighborhood safety is balancing limited roadway space and adding infrastructure for cyclists. To help bike riders connect to a bus route, the bike station was built in parking lot 3 behind the MTD bus depot, which holds about 30 bikes. With participation from businesses in the Funk Zone, a new bike corral was installed at Helena and Yananali Streets to help with bike parking in this busy area of art galleries and tasting rooms. Biking between neighborhoods has received a lot of attention this last month, and after reviewing collision maps and conducting an extensive public outreach effort, the council reviewed a new bicycle master plan with strategies to improve safety for all road users. And specifically, the plan identified routes to close gaps in the network of bikeways and improve multimodal pathways to allow sufficient cushion between vehicles and cyclists. Council grappled with creating a crosstown bike lane along Mitchell-Terena Street, which would directly connect the west side to downtown, but also remove parking spaces. And after reviewing the environmental studies and hearing from concerned citizens and residents, we've decided to review the components a little more thoroughly, starting with another hearing at the Transportation and Circulation Committee next in April. And with that, I'll turn it over to City Administrator Paul Casey, who can give us an overview of the city's main funding sources and our current financial condition. Paul.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, everyone. In talking about the city's financial condition, it's important to note that the city budget is a large and complex document. We have an overall operating budget of approximately $300 million. We have 1,015 full-time employees and another 500 hourly employees. We're a full-service city that provides a wide variety of municipal services that promote the health and safety of the community, as well as enhance the quality of life for our residents, businesses, and visitors. The city operates through a couple of key budget approaches. We have a general fund that covers basic governmental operations like police, fire, libraries, parks, and recreation that are supported by general tax revenues. But we also have enterprise funds. These are special funds that are self-supporting and operate as their own financial entities. They get no support from general taxes or the general fund, and instead rely solely on their own revenue income to support their activities. Examples of an enterprise fund include the water fund, downtown parking, or the airport. I thought I'd start by talking about the state of the general fund and then follow up with some discussion about the various enterprise funds. The general fund is in good financial shape due to a combination of an improving revenue picture over the past 5 years and good fiscal discipline on the expenditure side. Revenues have been strong since the recession, although we're starting to see some slowing in that growth trend that we must keep an eye on. Based upon council priority and direction, our reserves are fully funded per policy for the first time since 2005. We're a leaner organization than we were 10 years ago, and while we've restored a number of key services that were cut during the recession, there are still some services that are not back to pre-recession levels. From a revenue standpoint, the general fund is supported by 3 main revenue sources: sales tax, transient occupancy tax, or the bed tax, and property taxes. One of local government's traditional revenue sources is the sales tax. Sales tax growth has been good, but not as strong as you would have expected with the economic recovery of the past 5 years. Our sales tax grew a little less than 3% from the previous year and was actually down 3.4% in the first quarter of our fiscal year. Historically, sales tax has shown a more dramatic rebound after a recession, but according to our sales tax consultants, national trends, and quite frankly, personal shopping experiences, internet sales are cutting into sales tax revenue to local and state governments. Sales tax will remain a key revenue source for the city, but it will be tempered going forward as online retail sales continue to eat into brick and mortar activity. This is a long-term trend that has a number of policy repercussions that we as a community are going to need to address. Our transient occupancy tax, on the other hand, has been nothing short of stellar over the past 5 years, with bed tax growing on average 10% each year in the last 5 years. However, this growth rate appears to be slowing, with year-over-year declines in a few of the past few months. This could be due to a strong dollar internationally, the best ski climate in years diverting LA visitors to more winter destinations, the permanent closing of the Sandman Inn and the restoration of the Santa Barbara Inn, or it could just be a reflection of building off of very high prior years in growth. Regardless, our bed tax remains a very strong local revenue source, and hopefully it will trend positive again as the summer season approaches. Property tax, as you can see, we've seen growth here as well, but not as strong or dramatic. Historically, we've seen that property tax revenue tends to take a little while to catch with the improvements in the real estate market. And a number of properties were reassessed to a lower level during the recession, and their upward reassessments to match their increased property values have not been fully realized. Property tax, though, remains an important and relatively stable revenue source for the city. Finally, on the general fund side, let's take a look at our reserves. By council policy, we're required to hold 25% of our operating budget in reserves. This is a prudent reserve level for a municipality to have in case of bad economic times or natural disasters. Back in 2008, we had a $10 million gap in funding policy reserves. But since then, we've chipped away at it year after year, and last year, Council laid out a 2-year plan to get us back to fully funded policy reserves. I'm very pleased to say that we have achieved that goal in half the time and are now fully funded at our policy reserve level. It's not nice to talk to a business community who appreciates that. That's good. So in summary, the general fund is in good financial shape, although our outlook is tempered from a year ago. We'll continue to closely monitor our revenues for any continued softening going forward. Let's switch gears and look at our enterprise funds. These are essentially a number of self-sustaining businesses that the city runs and operates. Unlike the general fund, they receive no tax support to fund their operations. We'll start with the Healthy Enterprise Fund, the Waterfront. Waterfront revenue is in large part dictated by the weather, and when the weather is good, parking lots are full and restaurants are doing well. And with the dramatic 4-year drought, weather and revenues have been very good in the waterfront. We found what we believe to be a good equilibrium on cruise ships, with 31 visits planned in 2016, primarily around the shoulder seasons of spring and fall. They bring in $450,000 in revenue to the department, but also support a number of tourist-related businesses in the community. Dredging remains a constant effort at the waterfront, and we've received $2.6 million in federal funds to dredge the harbor and keep it open. While we haven't had nearly enough rain, we have had large swells that have pushed a lot of sand into the harbor mouth that requires dredging. The harbor mouth nearly closed up again just a few weeks ago, but we were able to get extra federal funding to get it back open. Downtown parking is performing well as an enterprise fund. We've had healthy revenue growth since the recession, reflecting good economic activity downtown. The airport continues to face challenges with an ever-changing airline industry that is de-emphasizing mid-size airports like Santa Barbara. We've seen passenger declines over the last 10 years, and the departure of a couple of airlines has led to a reduction in the number of flights per day. We will continue to look for additional new air service. It may require a revenue guarantee to the airlines for establishing that service, revenue guarantees that by law the city cannot contribute to. So if increased airport service is important to you and your company, let's work together and try to make that happen. The golf course has had challenges that we've been very public in addressing over the past couple years. Our municipal golf course has faced nationwide trends in declining play and has had to adjust to the serious drought conditions. However, we're in the process of transitioning to a professional management company, which will be complete in a couple months, and should help stabilize the financial condition of the golf fund. And over a period of years, it'll allow us to reinvest into the course. We're also entering into a new agreement with the popular Mulligan's Cafe at the golf course. The golf course is also in beautiful condition right now. So at the Montecito Country Club course, closed for renovation, go play Muni. The Water Fund, along with the Wastewater Fund, are two large utility funds operated by the city, which are ratepayer supported through billing charges. But they're also old systems that are heavily and constantly used and require large, ongoing capital expenses year in and year out to maintain the system and meet ever-increasing safety requirements for clean water. The drought makes it a challenge to manage the finances of the Water Fund in particular. We have fixed costs to operate the system that don't go away in a drought. We're asking our customers to reduce using the product by 35%. And providing water to our customer gets more and more expensive as our reservoirs empty and we need to purchase supplemental water, drill new wells, and restart the desalination plant. So rates have to be adjusted to ensure we generate sufficient revenues to cover all of our costs. It's a very delicate and challenging message indeed. So far, I believe we've managed this well. We've been able to provide a consistent supply of water and deal with the real serious drought conditions, and the financial condition of the Water Fund is still solid. We're in the middle of putting together our recommended budget for the next fiscal year. We plan on presenting a balanced budget to the Mayor and Council for their consideration on April 19th. That will follow with 2 months of public hearings, review, and final recommendations by the City Council, with the new budget adopted by the end of June. Some of the long-term issues include monitoring our revenue outlook, maintaining a healthy policy reserve, negotiating fair and equitable labor agreements, and investing in infrastructure and utilities. And while the Mayor will talk about infrastructure a little more at length, let me take a moment just to reiterate the serious infrastructure challenges that the city faces. We're able to fund a number of important programs and services through our limited capital program and grants. Projects like playground equipment replacements, accessibility improvements, park improvements, firefighting equipment, bridge replacements, and reinvesting in our water and wastewater infrastructure. However, we're seriously challenged in having enough money to support more costly but important municipal facilities like comprehensive street repair and reconstruction, fully replace an aging, space and seismically challenged police station that will cost upwards of $80 million, replace aging fire stations and other long-term infrastructure needs. This is not just a Santa Barbara issue, but a statewide and national concern as well. And there are no easy answers. I ask you all, though, as community leaders, to be engaged in this discussion, as it's in all of our interest to invest in our city so it remains the jewel that brought us all here to live and work in the first place. With that, I will turn it back to the Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Our natural beauty and landscape may be admired by people worldwide, but our city's infrastructure also defines the quality of life for our residents. Funding levels for street maintenance haven't changed much in the last few decades. Our gas tax revenue consists of pennies on the gallon, which buys us less and less each year. Meanwhile, the cost of asphalt has risen sharply. Las Positas Road between the freeway and the golf course provides a good illustration of the city's infrastructure challenge. Now when driving here, you'll notice a much smoother driving surface because we invested in a more expensive overlay rather than just a slurry seal. This extends the life of the road by 10 to 20 years, but has a price tag amounting to about a third of the city's annual street capital budget. We need more projects like this on our local streets and attention to smaller residential roads that currently receive minimal maintenance, if at all. Council is currently reviewing options to increase funding for street repairs. Crossing over the freeway in an area where pedestrians and cyclists now have to share the road with vehicles, we're very excited about plans for the Las Positas multi-use pathway. A 2.5-mile-long path along Las Positas and Modoc will be a significant improvement for residents. And we're currently applying for grants to cover construction costs, and if successful, we'll start the construction in 2 to 3 years. And for many years, Mesa residents and anyone traveling to Ealings Park or Hendry's Beach know about the gridlock traffic at the Las Positas and Cliff Drive intersection at peak travel times. So it's with great news that the council approved a roundabout in place of the current stop signs to improve traffic flow with grant funds paying for most of that project. The community may see construction work or designs in progress, but a lot of that is the result of outside grant funding or creating public-private partnerships. And this brings us to the Cabrillo Arts Pavilion, where we are fortunate to hold on to the last of the redevelopment agency funds previously earmarked for this project. And in our last video this morning, you'll learn what's in store for the renovation of this historic building and how this project is planned as a public-private partnership.
Located on East Beach, the Cabrillo Pavilion and Bathhouse has served as a key coastal recreation facility for nearly 90 years. The building was a gift to the city by David Gray in 1927, who asked that it be dedicated for park purposes and public use. In the years that followed, the pavilion served as a venue for social events, fitness activities, youth programs, and even an Army redistribution center during World War II.
Some key aspects of this project are honoring the legacy of David Gray, to have that foresight to dedicate a building for the public and public recreation. Today, what we use the pavilion for is exactly what it was intended for. It is very much a social center, cultural center, recreational center, and it provides access to East Beach.
The building's aging structure and poor site accessibility limits its potential to serve Santa Barbara residents and visitors. Determined to restore the crown jewel of East Cabrillo Boulevard, the Parks and Recreation Department plans to renovate the building's interior, exterior, and surrounding site.
In setting out to undertake this renovation, the city's key vision here is to restore and enhance the building to serve the Santa Barbara community for recreation for the foreseeable future.
Site improvements include renovated landscaping, improved parking and facility accessibility, and the renovation of outdoor showers and walkways surrounding the building. The project will also install a portable boardwalk to connect the promenade to the beach.
So the project essentially is a full-scale renovation of both the interior and the exterior site. A great deal of what we'll be doing on the exterior is actually bringing it up to today's accessibility standards.
In addition to accessibility upgrades, exterior building improvements include repairs to the building facade, waterproofing of the foundation's perimeter, and the addition of a first-floor service entrance. These renovations will match the Spanish colonial revival style of the building. Interior renovations will include a complete overhaul of the building's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and communication systems, and upgrade the pavilion's structural integrity.
We're planning to return the first floor to its original configuration, where the entryway was a tea room, a major special events room, and then we're redesigning the shower locker facilities and relocating them to one side of the building. We're maintaining a restaurant concession area. We're building in multi-purpose rooms so that we can continue to provide sports programs, youth programs, gym programs, and other types of recreational uses for the community. And then lastly, there'll be an elevator that connects the two floors so that the building is much more integrated.
To date, funding for the project includes $9 million of former redevelopment agency funds and a total budget of $13 million.
Now that we're working on our final plans and we have our permits for the building, we're identifying opportunities to fundraise to fill the gap between $9.1 million and the $13 million. We're hoping that through both community fundraising as well as looking for state and other governmental agency sources of funds, we'll be able to bridge that gap in the next couple of years.
By ensuring the Cabrillo Pavilion and Bathhouse's future, this historic beachfront facility will continue to enhance the lives of Santa Barbara residents for generations to come.
This building, I think, has a lot of different meanings to the community. There are generations of Santa Barbarans that came here to do junior lifeguards, so they relate to the beach and the bathhouse. There's many families that were started here because people often use this site as a wedding venue. It's been a cultural location where there's been music, dance, parties. It could be where they come for breakfast on Sunday. It could be where they come to bring their children to play on the playground. And then in the summertime, it's a popular beach destination.
Beyond historic recreation buildings, the city park inventory continues to grow, with 360 acres of developed parkland and over 1,000 acres of undeveloped open space. The city and the Trust for Public Land recently acquired the 15-acre Veronica Meadows property near Las Positas Road to be used as natural park space. And in other neighborhoods, new playground equipment was installed at La Mesa Park, Parque de los Niños, and Chase Palm Park. Particularly in the West Side and the East Side neighborhoods where green areas are harder to find, the Bass Street Pocket Park and the renovated Bonnet Park have been welcome additions for neighborhood families. We're also planning the renovation of the Cabrillo ball fields with improved walkability, design access points, more landscaping and trees, and areas for fitness equipment and adult recreation. And nearby stationary fitness equipment is also planned for the bird refuge area. And thanks to the generosity of local philanthropists, the Children's Library reopened last year into an expanded space with family-friendly areas and children's furniture. A larger renovation effort is now underway on the main floor area to provide a more current facility that satisfies a growing number of library users of all generations. The outdoor plaza is also being redesigned to create a safer area with open, visible spaces and provide a more attractive gathering space for community events. Next door, the Museum of Art is starting a full building renovation that will enhance gallery space, add a roof terrace garden, and address seismic retrofitting. And the oldest museum in Santa Barbara, the Museum of Natural History, is also undertaking major improvements starting this fall with an enhanced arrival plaza, renovated mammal and bird habitat halls, and a new permanent butterfly garden exhibit space, just in time to celebrate their centennial anniversary. In addition to these major museum and library renovations, the new Wolf Museum of Exploration and Innovation, or MOXIE, is set to open its doors by the end of this year. Our community will soon provide state-of-the-art educational spaces for curious minds of all ages. This 17,000 square foot facility will include interactive exhibits, indoor and outdoor galleries, a courtyard, and a roof terrace, all areas focused on inspiring the next generation of problem solvers. Similar to the Community Arts Workshop, the city leased the property to the museum for $1 a year to get this project started. Such a deal. The entire lower State Street area is transforming towards our vision of a free-flowing pedestrian corridor. The area continues to be a hub of construction activity with city and private development projects underway. And I want to thank all the area businesses and anyone crossing through on foot for their patience with the construction activity, and we can expect that traffic lane on lower State Street to reopen in a few more months. Well, and it's with great enthusiasm that after many years addressing the state of the city to you that I can finally talk about the active construction work at La Entrada. This is a significant development, is well underway with the completion by summer 2017. The project will include 123 hotel rooms, boutique retail shops, restaurants, public parking, and open-air courtyards and paseos, all in the Spanish colonial style. Adjacent to La Entrada, we continue to replace decades-old bridges over Mission Creek. Construction will complete for the Mason Street Bridge this spring, and situated in high-traffic area, the Cabrillo Boulevard Bridge work has been conducted in stages, keeping at least one lane of Cabrillo Boulevard open in each direction. Work is about to shift to the ocean side of the bridge, and a temporary pedestrian bridge will be added to help cross from the Dolphin Fountain to the Beachway. And when finished, both bridges will meet current structural safety guidelines, improve pedestrian access, and create a new wildlife habitat area. This area promises to look very different by next year and will reach another long-awaited milestone, moving from scaffolding and barricades to a new vibrant gateway to the city. Further up Mission Creek, our multi-year bridge replacements continue to increase water flow under the bridge and meet modern seismic standards. We celebrated the completion of the Coda Street Bridge replacement last month and are now designing similar projects on Gutierrez, De La Guerra, and Anapamu. Our attention is also shifting to a different water flow from the city's aging water mains. With a few high-profile main breaks, we're beginning to see growing signs of aging water infrastructure underneath our roads and buildings. Between older mains and temperature changes, the number of water main breaks has been on the rise. And so for many years, we've been diligently replacing 1% of our pipes every year. And beyond this annual program, we're now developing options to launch a special effort to replace water pipes that have reached the end of their useful lives. Aging infrastructure has also challenged downtown merchants with several power outages due to older electrical infrastructure. And while the electrical grid's not maintained by the city council has been a strong advocate and partner with downtown Santa Barbara and the Chamber to urge Southern California Edison to upgrade it. Utility staff have committed to fund $11 million in improvements in the downtown corridor this year. And we're in regular communication with Edison and the business community to keep the lights on. At the harbor, we've made substantial progress over the last 6 years to replace the 30-year-old Marina One. Funded by slip fee revenue and a state loan, we're on track to finish all the docks in 2 years. And from the waterfront to downtown and other notable destinations, Santa Barbara is about to look more modern with consistent wayfinding signage to help visitors find their way through points of interest and in around town. And after working with a committee of business and visitor organizations and the city's design review boards, the council approved a plan for the directional signage and will soon allocate funding to install the signs in stages. One of the most frequent requests we do hear from local businesses is improving air service to nearby destinations, and I want you to know that this is a top priority for the city to maintain and establish new air service routes in Santa Barbara. We were pleased to announce a new daily flight service to Dallas, the key airport hub to help you more easily connect with the East Coast and international flights. And this adds to the nonstop flights you can catch to San Francisco, Phoenix, Denver, Portland, Seattle, and Los Angeles. Also at the airport, we're about to close escrow with Direct Relief on a large property that will help them expand their international disaster response capabilities. With the proceeds from the sale, we will construct a new area for much-needed light industrial workspace at the airport. And this project is expected to be completed by late 2017. So much of what makes the city of Santa Barbara the incredible place that it is our collective commitment to keep our neighborhoods, our public spaces, and our business corridors special and vibrant. One could say our city is in itself a work of art, and we all creatively and collaboratively foster, protect, and promote its attributes. We each play many roles in this screenplay, write verse and poetic opinions to civic leaders and when decisions are due, paint many pictures through our actions, words, and deeds, sing aloud joyously when things go well, and wail when they need improvement. And like a work of art, we have different interpretations about its value and beauty, and yet I think we can all agree that the city of Santa Barbara is worth showcasing to ourselves and visitors around the globe. Timeless art is not static. Rather, its vision and meaning shifts and moves in dynamic ways. And a work of art is certainly not perfect. It contains potholes, blemishes, and is in need of maintenance, restoration, and repair from time to time. A great work of art does not just happen by accident. Rather, the artists involved take care to dream, plan, draft, and construct very carefully until they have their final product. Cities are similar, and Santa Barbara in particular certainly knows how to dream, plan, draft, and construct. You have to admit that sometimes public comment is an art form all to itself. And yet it's our connectivity of people to place, our commitment to think big and plan long term, and then implement that plan and see the cumulative impact of results. We've patiently steered a course with determination and are now achieving numerous milestones to enhance our quality of life. We've been very successful in leveraging grant funds, low-cost loans, and public-private partnerships, and understand the focus of fiscal challenges that still remain to address key projects. Thanks to our partnerships, many of which are represented here in this room today, the City of Santa Barbara is a more efficient organization due to being more proactive in dealing with the challenges that we face. Moving forward, we rely on communicating our hopes and expectations freely and openly, knowing that together we can continue to create and thrive. It's an honor, truly an honor, as your mayor, to share this work with you today and as part of the many projects that will come tomorrow. Thank you very much.